abandoned building on St. Laurent Street loomed before Etan Dubois, its weathered facade masking the horrors that lay within. As he approached the entrance, a chill ran down his spine, though he couldn't quite place why. The structure seemed ordinary enough, just another forgotten relic in Montreal's urban landscape. Little did Etan know, he was about to step into a nightmare that would blur the lines between reality and terror. Inside, the air grew thick with an unsettling stillness. Etan's footsteps echoed through empty corridors as he made his way to the future dreams. Lab. The smell hit him first, a nauseating mix of antiseptic and something far more sinister. Rotting meat. He pushed the thought aside, focusing on the task at hand. This was just another experiment. After all, nothing to fear. Zahraa Al-Husseini greeted him with a tight smile, her eyes betraying a hint of worry. "You made it," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Dave's already prepped." Etan nodded, trying to ignore the growing unease in his gut. As they entered the lab, the silence from outside seemed to intensify, as if the very air was holding its breath. Dr. Mark Trudeau stood by a row of pristine lab beds, his white coat a stark contrast to the dimly lit room. "Welcome, volunteers," he said, his tone eerily cheerful. "Today, we push the boundaries of consciousness itself." He held up a syringe filled with vibrant green liquid. "This serum will allow us to enter a shared dreamscape, to explore the depths of the human psyche." As the needle pierced Etienne's skin, a wave of dizziness washed over him. The world began to spin, colors blurring and reality slipping away. When he opened his eyes again, he found himself in a snow-covered forest, twisted trees reaching toward a starless sky. Zahraa and Dave materialized beside him, their faces etched with confusion and fear. "Where are we?" Dave's voice trembled. Before anyone could answer, a demonic laugh echoed through the trees, sending shivers down their spines. They huddled together, eyes darting in every direction. Suddenly, Etan noticed something carved into a nearby tree trunk, their names etched in what looked horribly like fresh blood. "This can't be real," Zahraa whispered, her breath visible in the frigid air. But as they stumbled through the endless forest, the nightmare only intensified. Shadows danced at the edge of their vision, always just out of reach. The wind carried whispers of forgotten memories, taunting them with fragments of their deepest fears. A wooden cabin appeared through the swirling snow, offering a false promise of shelter. Inside, they found themselves face to face with a monstrous version of Dr. Trudeau. His eyes glowing red and his mouth stretched in an inhuman grin. "Welcome to my playground," he growled, his voice distorted and unnatural. Panic set in as they realized they were trapped, not just in this nightmare, but in the experiment itself. Their physical bodies lay helpless back in the lab, while their minds were at the mercy of this twisted dreamscape. As they fought to escape, reality began to fracture around them. Mirrors appeared, showing not their reflections, but doppelgängers with malicious intent. In a heart-stopping moment, Dave's face began to shift, revealing the visage of Jean-Francois. A previous volunteer, they'd been told, had simply left the study. "We're all trapped here," he said, his eyes filled with despair. "Our souls, our very essence, stolen by that madman Trudeau." The revelation sent shockwaves through the group. Everything they thought they knew crumbled away, leaving only terror and confusion in its wake. They were no longer just test subjects. They were prisoners in a nightmare dimension, fighting for their very existence. As they struggled to make sense of their situation, the world around them continued to warp and twist. The cabin walls melted away, revealing a vast, frozen lake. At its center, a pulsing black orb hovered ominously. Instinctively, they knew this was the key to their escape and the source of their torment. Fighting against the biting wind and their own paralyzing fear, the group made their way across the ice. With each step, memories and nightmares alike assaulted them. Etan saw flashes of childhood traumas long buried. Zahraa relived her worst failures, amplified 1,000-fold. And Jean-Francois, no longer hiding behind Dave's face, confronted the moment he first became trapped in this hell. Reaching the orb, they found themselves surrounded by mirror images of themselves, dark reflections of their deepest insecurities and darkest impulses. To destroy the orb, they realized they would have to face these shadows head-on. It was a battle not just for survival, but for their very souls. In a climactic moment of courage and desperation, they shattered their mirror selves and the black orb along with them. The dreamscape exploded in a cacophony of light and sound, hurling them back to consciousness. Etan's eyes flew open, gasping for air as he found himself back in the lab. Zahraa and Jean-Francois stirred beside him while Dr. Trudeau lay unconscious on the floor. Nurse Chantel rushed in, her face a mask of concern. "What happened?" she demanded, helping them to their feet. As they recounted their horrifying experience, a sense of relief washed over them. They had escaped, hadn't they? The nightmare was over. But as Etan caught his reflection in a nearby mirror, his blood ran cold. For just a moment, he swore he saw a shadow lurking behind his own image. A reminder that some horrors are not so easily left behind. In the days that followed, life slowly returned to normal. The Future Dreams Lab was shut down, its secrets locked away. But for Etan, Zahraa, and Jean-Francois, the scars of their shared nightmare lingered. They found themselves jumping at shadows, questioning every reflection, and sometimes, in the dead of night, they would wake in a cold sweat, the echo of Dr. Trudeau's laughter ringing in their ears. For in the depths of their minds, a seed of that nightmare realm remained, waiting, perhaps, for the right moment to bloom once more. As Etan walked home one evening, he passed a store window and froze. There, in the reflection, stood Dr. Trudeau, his eyes glowing with malevolent intent. Etan blinked, and the image was gone. But the fear remained, a constant companion in the bloody nights of Montreal. The experiment may have ended, but its effects lingered on. A reminder that some boundaries, once crossed, can never truly be uncrossed. And in the reflections and shadows of the city, a piece of that nightmare world lived on, waiting for its chance to pull them back into its terrifying embrace.